Welcome to In Conversation, folks. We come to you from Washington, D.C. My name is Ramesh Bhutani.
And I'm Shilpa Alimchandani.
And in Washington, D.C., we have the chairman of the council, Vincent Gray. He's going to be running against Mayor Fenty, who is up to now. He's been running without an opponent, and he's collected $4 million. And now he gets to run for his money.
Well, this should be a very interesting fight, don't you think?
Yes, it will be, because, as Chairman Gray, he has integrity. He's also local. He's lived all of his life in Washington, D.C. He has served in Washington, D.C. He's also an athlete, by the way. Though he's 67 years old, there'll be no comparison to a 39-year-old triathlon, He is one person who is actually well received in all wards of the city. I mean, as a chairman, he had to run in all 8 wards, so he's pretty good at that. So it's going to be interesting. What do you think? You live there.
I do live in D.C., and I can say that I like Mayor Fenty's environmental efforts. The fact that now plastic bags you have to pay for in the supermarket, and there are more bike lanes in the city. So I think that has been definitely an improvement. I'm not a car owner. I definitely like walking around and making sure D.C. is pedestrian friendly and environmentally friendly. But obviously, there are a lot of other issues that are important to D.C. residents, and it will be interesting to see what happens in this race between 2 distinguished politicians.
That's right. Mayor Fenty has brought a tremendous efficiency within the government. I mean, look at how many parks he has renovated, how many schools he has renovated. Being in construction, I know the condition of the schools back before Mayor Fenty took over. So I see it, and I really like him. I think it's great. Unfortunately, he's a little brash, he's a little arrogant, and a little... But whenever you're good, it's hard to be humble. So I'm looking forward to this race, and I'm going to support both of them.
Sounds good.
Let the best man win.
Well, let's move from local to national politics. And it's been fun to see how things have changed with President Obama over the last year in terms of his approach to international relations and specifically dealing with foreign leaders and foreign populations. We remember early in his administration there were these great speeches he was giving, like the one in Cairo where he's appealing to masses of people.
Populist.
Very populist. And because he is popular worldwide, the idea was to talk to the people directly and that they will influence their own leaders. Lately, though, we've seen a little bit of a different tone, and this Washington Post article is talking about how now Obama is looking at one-on-one conversations with major world leaders, like speaking with President Karzai in Afghanistan and giving him kind of a warning about corruption, and talking with Benjamin Netanyahu about settlements in Israel. Not always, in a scolding or negative tone, but it's definitely different than big grand speeches. It's one-on-one conversations with leaders. I don't
know what you mean. It is not... It is. What he told President Karzai, shape up, or we're going to ship out everybody out of Afghanistan. And he did tell Netanyahu the same thing. You're going to either stop or we're not going to support you in
Well,
this.
An example would be with Prime Minister Singh from India. After the G20 summit last year, he sat down and talked with Manmohan Singh one-on-one. And in that conversation, it wasn't just talking about, the civil nuclear deal or things like that, but he was talking to him about poverty reduction and some of the progress India has made there. And then, of course, hosted Prime Minister Singh for the first official state dinner here in Washington. So he talked to, the president of South Korea about education and education policies. Now, that's like a domestic issue, but he's forging these personal relationships different, I want to add, than President Bush, who had certain buddies and favorite people that he developed friendships with. This is not necessarily on the friendship level, but more kind of one-on-one based on substantive issues.
Is this a love fest or what?
Well,
you like President Obama, let's face it. By the way, folks, that civil nuclear deal with India was finally signed this week. So it's operational.
It took, 5 years?
5 years. And finally, it's done. So from now on, we hope India is going to buy civil nuclear technology from the United States of America instead of going to France and Russia. Folks, lately, if you have seen any television shows and the pundits therein everybody's talking about the biggest debate with China, particularly on the economic front. Of course, you heard of Google walking out of China. There are many companies that are having a tremendous problem in China. For instance, what Chinese have done, you know, they became the partner in WTO, World Trade Organization, so they allowed all the courtesies of that particular protocol. Now, the protocol is that if you are buying goods for the government, that they have to be made in that country. For instance, the United States federal government writes, made in America. Everything needs to be made in America.
Well, for example, you know, I'm a federal employee, and when I travel overseas, all of the flights I take have to be on American carriers.
That's right.
So I can't fly foreign airlines unless there are no flights available on American carriers.
So all the partners in WTO go for the same thing. But China has starting a rule which says the schools are also need to have made in China goods. The quasi-government companies need to have that too. So in other words, you take such a bigger slice and keep it for your own people.
Closing out competition.
Yeah. Number two, for instance, if you have a patent here in America, now the Chinese have started a rule where your patent is not legal in China unless it is registered in China. Now, you know what happens when you register a patent. You tell them exactly how it is made, what ingredients are used, and what drawings.
You give them the inside information.
Total information. And that's what they want.
Yeah.
Because so far, from last 30 years, China has been the go-to country for all products.